and 700 more across the state. So they named their health route Wanda's Way. She jokingly said Wanda's Way or the highway. But it was a great honor. It was a wonderful day, and let's give Dr. Green a hand because that's a huge job.
If I can add to that, when I got to GE, I happened to run into one of those big deals at GE, and we were talking, and he said, "We know when Wanda Green's in the room, it's going to happen." So.
Well, all of us can say a lot of things that we've done this and done that as commissioners. No, we didn't do it. Ms. Green did it because I'd get up in the morning and look at my iPad. 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning she was talking to the people at GE email. So the deal with GE was put together by Wanda and her staff. We were very lucky that we had Wanda Green doing this, and I appreciate her. She did save a lot of jobs in North Carolina, and that's where I'm at. But thank her staff. That's people that's up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning talking to people overseas. That's part of the deal. Is that's what I call working for the county.
Thank you, Dr. Green. All right. Next up, we have new business. We have a retroactive approval of extended hours for the Register of Deeds on October 10. We are going to take public comment on this. I would like to first recognize our county attorney, Mr. Bob Deutsch, to give us some background on what issues we're looking at tonight. Mr. Deutsch?
Yes, sir. Friday, October 10th, at about 3:18, our local Register of Deeds emailed all the commissioners asking, in the event that the district court ruling came down, would it be all right to keep the office open until 7 o'clock, which would be a 2-hour extension from the normal business hours of the registrar, which have been set by the county commission. And this, the issue of whether to give the permission was an issue for the board under the state statute, which requires the board to set the hours for the Register of Deeds. So the issue that has been raised is, was the manner in which this request was communicated and the response by the commissioners, as it was, this constitute a public meeting, an official meeting of the commissioners under GS 143-318.10, such that it was required to have notice or either be an executive session if that was appropriate. And I will tell you that after looking into it, examining all the emails, I will tell you what my conclusion was, and then I will explain. My conclusion was that what occurred did not constitute an official meeting under this statute, which given this context would be a simultaneous communication by electronic means of a majority of the members. So we have 7 members, so 4 would have had to have been on a simultaneous communication in order to qualify as an official meeting. And looking through all the emails, which included one public records request by the Republican Party here, I have concluded that at most there were just 3 of the commissioners who were in on any copy or simultaneous electronic communication over this. And as it's been explained to me, that the intention of this email that went out was to poll the commissioners just to see what their opinion was. Unfortunately, the traditional procedure for polling the commissioners was not followed, which would be to either communicate with the county manager or the county clerk, and then have them contact the commissioners. But I think in this instance, given who communicated simultaneously with who, I don't think that you reach the majority level. So it's on the agenda today, and I think you can approve it retroactively, and I don't think there was any violation of the meeting law.
All right. We're going to take public comment on this. Is there any comments about the questions on the commission side before we do our public comment? All right. Then let's go ahead and take public comment, if anybody has any, on what, we have an issue of whether we retroactively approve the extended hours for the Register of Deeds office on October 10 of this year. Mr. Harwood.
I'm Eddie Harwood from Barnardville. Chairman Gantt, members of the board, my name is Eddie Harwood. Once again, I appear before this chamber on the issue of blatant disregard for the laws of this county and this state. Each of you received a formal complaint filed last week on the performance bond of Buncombe County Register of Deeds. This complaint seeks payment for losses and forfeiture of his bond for failure to perform duties and unlawful closing of the Register of Deeds office. In addition, the state auditor has assigned a special auditor to investigate this matter. Shockingly, the Register of Deeds has once again on October the 10th determined he can open and close that office at any time he deems appropriate. This is outright arrogance and abuse of power and speaks to his inability to perform his job. He has thumbed his nose at the taxpayers, the employees, and the law. It is unacceptable. And once again, this board did not come into open session to approve a change in hours. In fact, I see where you have it on the agenda to retroactively approve the extra hours office illegally stayed open, even though this was not an emergency, forcing employees to work extra hours at his whim for political gain and publicity. It's shameful. Commissioners, you did not make any attempt to notify the public of a special meeting as required by Item 2, Section B, under the rules and procedures for the Board of County Commissioners. And no one except the county clerk and the county attorney can poll the board. So everything about this is illegal and unethical, and no retrofit vote can fix that here today. You didn't approve it, yet you can continue to allow the Register of Deeds to act illegally and irresponsibly to the county, employees, and taxpayers, all without consequences. Where is the transparency in all this? Your actions, too, are unacceptable. It seems a clear and consistent pattern that Buncombe County elected officials choose to ignore violations of ethics and law. How can taxpayers expect you to require lawful conduct from the Register of Deeds when you choose to ignore your own policies and procedures? Each of you took an oath of office to uphold the laws of Buncombe County. You swore or affirmed to uphold the duties of your office, stating that you would support and maintain the Constitution and laws of North Carolina and faithfully discharge the duties of your office. Instead, you choose to turn your heads and protect the illegal actions of a fellow politician. You have allowed dozens of citizens, your voting constituents, to pursue the right course of action, since you obviously don't understand your oath of office to uphold the laws. As requested by numerous citizens and Buncombe County employees, we will be following up with the state auditor, the bonding company, and other agencies. It is a disgrace that this disregard for the laws is allowed to go unchecked. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harwood. Any other public comment? Yes, sir. Anybody else want to speak after this gentleman? This man in the back. You can come up the front row if you like. We'll have you next, man.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Craig White. I live on Sulphur Springs Road in West Asheville, and thank you very much for this opportunity to speak. I am a volunteer with the Campaign for Southern Equality, and I was there on October 10th when the Register of Deeds office stayed open 2 hours late. I was actually there all day on October 10th and most of the day on October 9th because we did not know when Judge Cogburn was going to be handing down his ruling in the case United Church of Christ versus Reisinger. To my mind, it is very appropriate, seeing those couples waiting outside hour after hour, that the Register of Deeds of the office chose to remain open for an additional 2 hours so that they might be served. I would also like to point out that there's been some criticism that it was special treatment, but the office was in fact open to any member of the public that wanted to be served during that time. The ruling that Judge Cogburn handed down cited the 14th Amendment of the Constitution of the United States, which calls for equal protection of all citizens under the law. And his decision was that the state of North Carolina is bound by the 14th Amendment, and that the state does need to provide equal protection to all its citizens, including same-sex couples. To my mind, that amendment was passed some time ago.
Yeah, I don't want to get into merits. of
Okay,
this,
sure.
but I want to get in, let's stay the procedure that we followed, if you would.
Absolutely. I think the issue is that the ruling came 146 years too late, not that the Register of Deeds office stayed open 2 hours extra. Thank you.
Okay, yes, ma'am, here it is. Thank you. Anybody wants, yes, ma'am, we'll do next. Anybody else want to speak after this, lady? Yes, ma'am, we'll do next.
Hi, Victoria Townley. I'm from Buncombe County in the city of Asheville. I was just made aware that the comments will be limited to the legalities of the office staying open too late. As a taxpayer and as a member of the legal community that works for a law firm and actually had the honor of cutting my teeth in North Carolina by working for the county attorney, I've seen nothing but prompt servitude and a general ability to give good service to his constituents and the people that come to the Register of Deeds office. Regardless if it's couples there to apply for a marriage license, whether it's same-sex couples or heterosexual couples, whether it's a paralegal there to search for title, whether it's a lawyer there to record deeds, or it's someone searching the vital records for death or birth certificates. As a taxpayer, I find it concerning that all these investigations into Mr. Resinger's behavior are somewhat a waste of our taxpayers' money. He's trying to serve the best needs of our constituents and our citizens of Buncombe County. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Fanning. Yes, ma'am. Anybody want to speak after this lady? Mr. Rice, you'll
Good evening, Chairman Yant and the rest of the council. Reverend Lisa Bovey-Kemper, Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Asheville. I want to stand in support of what Craig White said. He's better on the nuts and bolts than I am, but I also want to point out that I am very pleased that our Register of Deeds appeared to be proactive and made plans ahead of time. My understanding is anecdotally that there were other registers of deeds in the state that stayed open, that went home and came back, and I feel and called their employees back. I feel like in terms of a use of resources, Drew's actions of trying to find out whether it would be approved and deciding ahead of time was a good use of resources. And I also understand that the approximate cost of staying open was around $400, and I believe 19 marriage licenses at $60 a pop is more than $400. So I know it's not a apples to apples comparison, but in terms of money spent and money made, that seems like an X in the positive column to me. So thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Kemper. Mr. Rice, anybody want to speak after Mr. Rice?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. What are we opening our doors to? When you are showing partiality between one sect of people, or a sector of people, and the general public, that's not right. And that's exactly what's happening here. My grandson would like to get married, and he'd like to do it on the weekend, and he's gonna have to fly in. I'm giving you a hypothetical. So would you mind opening the doors for him? Be able to get his license and have his ceremony and all done as well? That's really what it boils down to. There's nothing historical about this. There's nothing that we should open the doors to. and say this is historical. 3,000 years ago this happened. More than 3,000 years ago. This is not something the county should be indulging in, except holding everybody fair and accountable. Procedurally, the attorney toe-tapped all around those 3 little emails. They had to be 4 Onions. Now, if you don't mind, Mr. Attorney, if you don't mind, how about looking at the phone records of the county commissioners and find out who was on the phone at what time, calling who? Those are electronic too. So when you find out that this happened, it took 4 of you all up there to make this happen. You can do anything retroactive if you want to. But somebody told Mr. Rosenstein to go ahead. This is special treatment, I don't care what. Procedurally, when this happened before, I haven't heard anything put in place from the first time till now. So what have you put in place that Mr. Rosenstein shouldn't be put in this predicament? It should be a policy to be adhered to. And if you got one, why wasn't it? Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Any other public comment tonight? If not, I'll declare the public hearing closed at 5:37.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a couple of questions?
Yes, ma'am.
And maybe this is best for the county manager. When people are voting and the lines are long, do they turn the people away or do they stay open? If there are tax files to be paid, does the tax office close if there's a line? I mean, what happens?
Actually, the way voting works is if you're in line by the time the polls close, they will let you vote. That's the laws that we follow. And we have the ability to extend office hours. The rest of our departments are not driven by a general statute. They're driven by policy, so we're able to keep the tax department open if we have a line. It just operates under a different policy instead of statute.
But the thought of is to provide service.
Yes, we do want to.
Can I ask a question? You may know this. What was the net cost? Because I think Reverend Emperor mentioned the number. We'll make sure we have it accurate.
We did get a public, a request for public information, and it asked us to value the time of the staff and then to look at the revenue, or they just asked to value the time. The time was $1,680, the revenues were $1,160. I do think that in talking to Mr. Rising this afternoon, that he used comp time instead of overtime.
And so there won't be an additional cost to the Buncombe County taxpayer that you're aware of if it's absorbed by his budget.
It is absorbed by his budget.
Any other questions?
Did that money include the deputies as well?
All right. Any other questions? And if none, we'll go to comments and then we'll take motion. Any questions? If none, we'll hear comments. Any member of the commission wish to speak on this?
Comment is, about 2:45 on the 10th, I was up here in this building, and Ms. Hughes came back, the Green was here, and they said they were hanging flags in the trees and all inside the building. I asked Wanda if it was proper for a county commissioner to go down and say something about this. She said yes it was, so I went. I was met at the front door from an attorney from your group, said that she was part of the group, what could she do for me? I told her I was county commissioner and I appreciate it very much if they took the flags out of the trees, off the railings, because the only flags that fly here is the United States and North Carolina, because that's where the funding comes from. Can't help what the city does. And getting married, that's fine too. But after that, myself and Mr. Reisinger had a conversation. And in the conversation, his words to me was, what if 5:15, Mr. Cogburn come down with a ruling on that they could get married? I said, at 5:15, if they come down with a ruling, you get a hold of Wanda Green and she can get a hold of 7 commissioners. That was my words to Mr. Reisinger. And that was his words to me. I walk out the door, I'm telling Wanda that she may be getting a call. I thought she's the one that did the polling. I was wrong. I should have had him call or email Kathy Hughes. She's the one that actually is supposed to do the polling, but Ms. Green said she could have got Kathy to do it. You're right. I didn't. I've got all the emails. There's 4 emails. 3 of them, 4. Mine was basically stating what I told Mr. Reisinger that he should have done. But at 3:18, he fired it off to all the commissioners. Bypassed Ms. Hughes. Totally. She's the one that's supposed to be doing the polling. There's 3 votes. At 5, a little bit after 5, I'm still there. They did take the flags down because I was going to help them if they didn't. And, yeah, there's people outside, and people deserve things. But they're not special. Marriage is a contract, and I'm glad that the people were able to. I was asked if it went down, if they could come out, get married on the steps, get married in the grass, or wherever. I told them, as far as I'm concerned, that was no problem with myself. Now, I'm just talking about myself. A lot of people, there may be a few people in this room that remember my brother. A few of them probably do remember Scampbell's nightclub. But I was raised with a brother that was gay for over 40 years before he died. I want everybody to have what they want. I want everybody to be equal, including my brother, but he never asked for anything any different than what he was doing. But Mr. Reisinger basically stepped up and did something that I asked him not to do, and we went back and had the same conversation over, and he tried to get me as part of the vote. I wasn't going to be a part of the vote because he didn't do what he told me he would do. Don't tell me 4:45. What is the difference between getting married and closing an office during a snow break for 2 days? The people that wanted to do their property and get their property registered could not do it. What about the death certificates that the funeral home come to get so that they could prepare the people for a funeral? We were sledding. There's Facebook pictures of, he could not make it to work, but he could go sledding. So what's important? People's death certificates so that they can go to the bank and get the parents' money out, or whoever, the kinfolk's money out, or finished closing of a deal on a home, which the tax department was open and there's tons of stamps from the tax department. I'm glad everybody had the option to get married. But there was nothing special at the point. There was a couple in there getting the marriage certificate right before the people went in. They kept it. They did not come down before 5 o'clock. There was a group that kept it open. If we kept it open to 7 o'clock and the ruling had not come down, the taxpayers would be paying again. I don't care if it's comp time. I don't care what kind of time you call it. The simple fact is, we're supposed to have rules. I try to follow them the best I can up here. I get condemned on some things that I do. But we keep stepping overboard. Gay and lesbian group, fine guys, gals. But it goes back to my brother. You don't go in a public building and try to take it over and do things that you should not do. It's a public building. We don't know rebel flags in there. We don't have any other kind of flags in it. So why should we have your flag? That is my point. The attorney is right. If they want to vote for this tonight, that's up to them. But the simple fact is, it was not done legally. So, Ever how the vote comes out, it comes out. But my vote will be no.
Any other comments by commissioners or questions? Commissioner King?
I think it would be a fantastic idea for us to draft some policies and procedures for the commissioners. First, I've heard about, a specific way to poll in these types of circumstances, because I think everybody on this commission knows that this happens in a lot of different ways and depending on the circumstances. So, I'm all about, and I'm sure Mr. Reisinger would have liked that direction too, but the way I read the statute, it is a county commissioner decision, so it would seem appropriately for the Register of Deeds to poll the county commissioners. That's how I would read it. That's how I read it. I think Mr. Reisinger went above and beyond. In fact, the other Register of Deeds that stayed open or reopened, there was no interface with their boards of commission. Zero. They're under the same state law as we are. Same state. One person, I think it's fine to talk about flags, but one person does not direct another elected official. I think Mr. Reisinger asked the board, did not ask one commissioner, asked the board, and there was enough, and we've also, frankly, we've gotten the legal opinion tonight, so that closes it for me. Who in this room has a legal degree on this board? Well, that would be Mr. Deutsch. There's a few others that have said some really intelligent things tonight to have legal degrees out there. I'm also, the disgrace I see that's happening is the frivolous use of taxpayer money because of a political witch hunt. And it is just sad. It's just got to play itself out, I suppose. But if there's a disgrace, that's what the disgrace is, because it's ticking. The money's ticking. Tick, 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 tick. The dollars go up, 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 up. And we're equivalent about $1,600 here, $500 here, $40 here. When we're engaging in frivolous lawsuits with the most expensive types of professionals that we have in our great country, attorneys. So, back to the point, which is, in my view, Mr. Reisinger, our elected Register of Deeds, that's elected by the entire population of Buncombe County, asked the board, the entire board, not under the direction of one county commissioner, not under the direction of one person. I feel that's an appropriate, that's an inclusive, that's how I read the ordinance. So I respectfully, I'm sorry that your feelings were hurt, Mike, because he didn't do what you said that you wanted him to do. And I'm glad to know about this new rule about polling. That's great. I'll do that if it should ever come up again. But to kind of make up all this stuff, after the fact and to go on a witch hunt, I think it's wrong. I think it is wrong, wrong, wrong. We've heard the legal determination, vote for it or vote against it. I'm voting for it, and I really would like for us to be able to turn the corner and everybody's hearts to melt a little bit. Melt a little bit. Life is short. There's no sense in everybody getting so upset about this. Pent up customer demand. Public service was rendered. That's what happened. That is what happened. I'm happy to follow the attorney's advice and hopefully turn the page tonight.
Bringing up that this was my request, Ms. Jones?
No, the request.
Mr. Reisinger looked me in the face and said at 4:45, that was him, not Mike Fryer. And I said at 4:45, if that rule comes down, you need to get a hold of Ms. Green and she can poll the commissioners. That was not me.
You gave him your opinion when I think that's a great thing.
He
He asked you.
He asked me.
I know. I think that's great that he asked you, Mike. I think that's awesome. awesome.
Well,
I mean,
why did he do it at 3:18 when he said, how about a quarter to?
I can't even follow that, Mike. All I know is that I feel like he was open to you, he responded to you, he was polite to you, he was courteous to you.
He came to me.
He came to you.
He came to me and asked me, and I tried to,
to.
I said, what do you want to do, Drew? The
But
fact is, Drew Reisinger said he would get if it came in at 4:45, that he would get a hold of Miss Green. That was his words to me, standing at the counter in his office. Now, if you want to bring one of the officers in that was standing there, he's the one that brought it up to me. It's not me bringing it up to him. And I said, just do it right, son. If you get it at a quarter, if you get it at a quarter to.
He tried to do it right. He got your opinion, he got another opinion, and he tried to do it right. So there's other time passed after he talked to you, and he talked to other people. So he talked to me, he talked to some other people. But you said it right. He tried to do it right. He was nothing but courteous and kind and good and honest. He changed his mind after what he said to you because he got more information.
I hadn't got out in the hall good, and Miss Green had it on her computer that he had already told you.
We're just going to have to disagree on this one, Mike. So
We will. I tried to help him. He stayed in trouble
I
over the
tried.
snow days. We're not spending any money on the snow days.
Okay, we're
Mr.
not
Harwood is.
snow days is another issue. Let's focus on the register deeds, October 10, 2014. I would just say this. I gave my acquiescence. I thought it was the right thing. My understanding was there was a big crowd that wanted a county service that the federal judge, Cogburn, had said was now available to them. I think we'd do it for any citizen group that was there in mass. I would hope we would, because that's what we said. When we all took an oath, we're going to protect, take care of people. And if we can't provide a public service, Mr. Reiser, I talked to you. I said, okay, I want to make sure before the license, you speak with attorneys. It's legal. You did that. You did exactly what I asked you to do. And, you know, I think it is a board decision to do this. But the people that got up and said there was not a majority, that's not true. There were actually 5 of us that gave approval to keep the time open. So, you know, I want to make sure we got the facts out here. I spoke to you. When you asked me, the question was, can I keep up until 7? My contact with you was, well, what if it comes in after 7? You said, it just won't happen. You gave us a time certain. You didn't say, let's leave it open for the rest of the evening until we see what happens. You were very responsible, in my opinion, to say, okay, this is where we're going to cut it off. And if it didn't happen, it wouldn't. As it turned out, there will be no cost to the county. You got $60 per marriage license, I believe. Is that right? And the cost was about $400 difference, $500 difference that you will absorb in your budget. And I think I agree with Commissioner Jones. I think it's responsible. I think we probably could clear it up about the procedure, and we can do that. I think in the future, any contact we get, we should funnel it to the county manager or the county clerk and let them talk and do any polling. There is precedent. In the time I've been on the board, we have polled and done grants before. We do fireworks just about every year because it can be emergencies or time-sensitive matters. It's been our policy since I've been on this board for things that we just don't have time to call a meeting for. Obviously, at right an hour before the register deeds closed, there was not time to call a meeting. And frankly, I was in Indiana. I wasn't even in the state. So I think as long as we get the facts out there, I think we need to be straight up about it. There was contact with Mr. Fryer. There was contact with me. There was contact with some of the other commissioners that they choose to talk about. We have responded to public information requests. I did send an email that is public record, and glad to talk about that. But I'm going to vote for it too. I think we have a responsibility to provide service for people, and obviously this was an emotional issue, but I think we did the right thing, and I'm certainly going to support it retroactively. Any other comments?
Yeah.
Commissioner King?
Yes. First of all, I'd like to take exception to the statement that this board had does something illegal or wrong, there's never, ever in my time on this board seen a time when anyone has attempted to do anything wrong. I gave Mr. Reisinger my permission to stay open. After conferring with Dr. Green, I emailed him directly. I did not speak or confer with any other commissioner on this board. I sent him back an email which basically stated three things. This is in agreement with Dr. Green, had been in agreement with Dr. Green, Chairman David Gant, who's an attorney as well, and also the board attorney, that this ruling, that it had to come down, it had to be approved, it had to be legal. And he had my blessing. We're hearing two sides of this issue. It is a very emotional issue. But there's another part of this, besides the fact that we wanted to, as a community, service. I told Mr. Reisinger, had this been a group of people, they're needing to register a large number of property deeds, I would have given him permission. The bottom line is, I was not there, but I was aware there was a large number of people in the building, a large number of people outside the building, and this is not about Mr. Reisinger, it's not about gay marriage, it was about Buncombe County citizens who were there en masse, and it had to do with public safety in my mind, and as well as this public service to do this. But there was an overriding issue of public safety, and that was one of the major reasons I gave Mr. Reisinger permission, and I will be voting for it.
Can you stop it?
I did not reply to the email that went out. And honestly, I was uncomfortable with replying to it, so I did not. I will not be supporting this, and I'll tell you why. Businesses, departments are run by rules. And this is not a department policy, this is covered by statute. And I'm not an attorney either. And so I think, one of the things you learn early as a commissioner is you can't not reply to all the messages and get caught up in the emotion and things like that. It's very difficult to do. But this was not a question for the Register of Deeds to poll the commissioners. This was supposed to be done another way. It was not done that way. I'm not going to support it. I would not have supported it if we would have been sitting in a meeting. If we would have called a meeting, I would not have supported it because it was caught up in emotion. People could have waited till Monday. And I understand on that side of the decision that they were all excited about doing getting married. But if we would have had a meeting, if we had called a special meeting, I would not have supported it because there was no need to do it. We could have done it Monday. It is a court decision. And I'm not going to get into the weeds. I'm just going to make this one comment. There was an amendment that was voted on. And then it was overturned. So therefore it was in courts. But there are other challenges for that. So this emotional roller coaster is not over. We'll be on it for a while. But as commissioners, we have to do it a certain way. And I am trying my best to learn that, grow through this position and understand that. And a department head does not contact us and ask us what to do or tell us what to do. He didn't tell us what to do, he asked us, in fairness. We have to have rules and we have to abide by that. I don't think that was done. Quite frankly, I'm glad I didn't reply to that. But I'll be voting no. And I think my position is pretty clear. I don't really think I need to say any more than that. But I'll be voting no.
I went to the Register of Deeds office on Friday, and I was impressed by the calm, methodical outlook of the Register of Deeds. And I, like Commissioner Jones, now know that either Kathy or Wanda is the one that's supposed to do the polling. I did not know that. But for people to say, why couldn't this wait until Monday? There were people there that I witnessed that have been waiting 40 years. They were lined up. And again, it may be a different department, but if people are waiting to vote, people are waiting to file records, we serve them. And that's what we did. The mistake, maybe that our clerk or the county manager didn't poll us. That's what we did wrong. But what we did, I'll be voting for it, and I'm very glad that we provided the service.
I'd like to say, we've heard of this is an emotional issue, and it is a very emotional issue. My decision was not based on emotion. It was not something that either way, to use a euphemism, had a dog in the fight. My concern was for the people involved. It had nothing to do, one way or the other, with anything other than an orderly servicing at this time, and what would Monday morning be like if we did not take this measure on Friday evening. I had great concerns about what could possibly have transpired Monday morning with people mulling this over the weekend, and I was not willing to create that situation.
And in fact, there was a bomb threat on Monday.
Yes, and I'm glad that we got away with just a bomb threat.
Okay, any other comments?
Does, Drew want to say anything?
You covered it, but I'd be glad to go over anything, or if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr.
I'll ask one. Just go through your thought process when you decided to email everyone. Why you didn't go directly to Wanda Green, or why your thoughts weren't, because I know you've had conversations before regarding your department with Dr. Green. And why didn't you do that? Why didn't you go there? Because she would know the statute. So I'm just curious as to why you chose the other route instead of doing it.
Well, thank you all for having me here this evening. It is an honor to be with y'all. So that evening, there was a lot of information coming down. We were kind of hoping for a decision to come down earlier in the day, so we didn't have to extend office hours. But through the information we were getting from our attorney, it was looking like there was likely going to be a decision that day, and there was a lobby full of people who were waiting for service from my office. And we do have a policy where if anyone's standing in line, we serve them. And this was a historical situation that demanded our attention and our full attention, and I appreciate you all being attentive to it. So around 3 o'clock or so, after talking with one of the commissioners, I called County Manager Wanda Green and asked her for her opinion on how I should proceed. And her opinion was, and if I'm saying this wrong, please feel free to correct me. My memory of it was that I asked Dr. Green if I could reach out to the commissioners and get their opinion on it. And she said, I believe I'm saying this right, Ron, feel free to correct me, but I believe she said that please proceed. That was my memory of it, and that was why I chose to proceed in the way that I did after talking with the commission and the county manager. Is that
Drew,
true?
did you know our policy? Did you know that there was a polling that was required before you talked with her?
Wanda was the one who told me that we would need to get permission from the commissioners on this before we could keep office hours open.
And did you know who was supposed to do that? I mean, there's no written rule I'm aware of this. Did you know that it probably should have gone through them instead of you, or
I
did you
don't
that
know
before
the way your board works on these matters.
Okay.
I don't know either.
Yeah. We got the rule now, okay.
I'd like for Ms. Green to step in on this.
Actually, Drew and I had several conversations over 3 or 4 days, and he did tell me that they expected the ruling, and I told him we did have to poll the board because we just have a general statute that's different than any other department, and I asked him to send me an email so we could poll the board, and that was the way the afternoon proceeded.
Okay.
I would say that was, I can see both those things happening simultaneously. I mean, I think that's just where there's not clarity. You know, I can see what you said, and I can see what you heard, and how it all rolled. I mean, so again, I feel like we're grilling Mr. Reisinger, and I'm not sure why.
Well, I'm not grilling him. I think I asked him a question. I think I was very calm in the way that I asked that question. And I think that if we did not follow the proper procedure, that it's in Mr. Reisinger's, best interest moving forward and running his department to know what those rules are.
What did you, I didn't know what.
And to go forward.
I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
It's our fault that he's in that situation, because we didn't know the rules.
Why didn't we know the rules from the last time that the staff met in this winter deal? Why did we not know the rules? I learned
Because that
from
didn't
that.
come up.
I learned from that you go through he needs to go through the
Well,
county manager.
you go the head of the class, because some of us didn't learn it. So, but
So you answered my question. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And you did ask us. You were just, I think the only difference here is who polls, and I don't think anybody here really knew.
And now we know.
Now we know. So I'm like Mr. James, I think we're ready to move on unless someone's got some more questions.
The board does its best to follow the rules, and I'm sure in given time, there'll be something else come up that we don't know all the statutes. First of all, we're not attorneys, and we can't know. Sometimes the way you learn is by trial and error when things do come up. So, had I been aware that this needed to go to the clerk, I would have said so. I was unaware of that until all of this transpired. I had no interest in breaking any laws or any rules. I don't feel that we have. But I also conferred with Dr. Green. I typically run things by her before I do them because she has almost 30 years of experience, and I rely on her a great deal for those matters, and also rely on our board attorney to answer those. Also, this was an issue where time was of the essence. And what I do understand that we do have the option, if the time is of the essence, we can poll the board and then come back later and put it on the agenda and approve it. Now, that's my understanding. Is that correct, Mr. Dolce?
I would say yes, but let me, if I could just add one little more legal aspect to this thing. Basically, I think everybody's right in what they have been saying thus far. The reason that they have the polling is to avoid potential violations of the open meetings law. Because if you communicate directly and then there's simultaneous communication, that's really the issue. It doesn't matter if each of you speak individually to him. It's the email thing that's called reply all, which is one of the banes of my existence as a lawyer. But if you will just communicate individually, then the problem will be avoided. And if you go through the clerk and the county manager, then that avoids that, because they won't send out a simultaneous email. They'll email you individually, and I do that with my legal advice as well. So I think Mr. Fryer is right about what the procedure is, and I'm sure no one had any intention. And in this case, just the way it ended up, there was only 3 simultaneous communications. So it does not come under the statute. I mean, that's black and white.
I did not respond through the thread either. I went directly to Mr. Reisinger.
As did Mr. Gannett. And I think you did not respond, Mr. Belcher. So that, I mean, that kind of, three people did respond simultaneously. Mr. Fryer did not say yea or nay. He just said go to Wanda Green. So I don't think that that is violated in this instance, but I just wanted to explain that's the reason behind the polling.
All right. So I think we know how to do it, and everyone knows how to do it next time. And, you know, my view again is, I think you have 5 people that approved of the action, so I'm going to go ahead and call the question unless anyone has a burning comment to make. Okay, there is in our new business, we have approval for extended hours for the register of deeds. I would move that we adopt retroactively the extended hours we gave on October 10. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion by Chairman, a second by Vice Chair Frost. Is there any further discussion? All those, I would say poll the commission. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no.
No.
Motion carries 4-2. Fryer and Belcher against. Next up, we have board appointments. During pre-session, we have elected to interview the candidates for the Asheville Regional Airport Authority and also the County Board of Adjustment. We have not interviewed any of the Regional Airport Authority individuals. We have interviewed some of the Board of Adjustment. I think in fairness, we should try to interview them at the same time, close in time, so we have comparisons. We also have on the agenda the Nursing Home Community Advisory Committee. Are there any nominations? We have 13 vacancies.
I'll nominate Eleanor Lane, Linda Treatley, John Bernhardt, and Linda Burrell.
All right, are there any other nominations? All those in favor of those individuals nominated by Commissioner Belcher, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And those individuals are appointed. Adult Care Home Community Advisory Board, we have 13 vacancies and 6 reappointments. Nominations?
Emily Scott, Donald Divert, Mary Adamy, Sarah Foster, Jerry Hamner, Marjorie Lotta, and Kathleen Page.
Any other nominations? All those in favor of those individuals being appointed, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. They are so appointed. Next to last, we have Mountain Area Workforce Development Board. We have 4 reappointments. Any reappointment nominations? I nominate Linda Biggers, Bob Kendrick, Lorraine Poe, and Catherine Poisson. Any other nominations? All those in favor of those individuals say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. They are so appointed. We have had an add-on the Firemen's Relief Fund trustees. French Broad Volunteer Fire Department, Inc. Any nominations?
Nominate Sam Hollister and Dean Haney.
Any other nominations? All those in favor of those individuals say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That they are so appointed. Woodfin Volunteer Fire Department. Nominate Donald Honeycutt. Any other nominations? All those in favor of Mr. Honeycutt say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Fairview Fire Department.
Nominate Larry Dodson.
Any other nominations? All those in favor of Mr. Dodson say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Reems Creek Valley Fire Department, Inc. Any nominations? Nominate. Oh, I'm sorry. That's all. That's all right.
Yeah.
Whoops. Sorry about that. This was an add-on, so no one has the benefit of X-ray vision. Sorry about that. John Wilson. Any other nominations? All those in favor of appointing Mr. Wilson to the Reems Creek Valley Fire Department, Inc. say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Mr. Wilson is appointed. Beaver Dam Fire District, I'd like to nominate Larry Morrow. Any other nominations? All those in favor of Mr. Morrow say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Mr. Morrow is appointed. Inca Cameron Fire and Rescue, Michelle Pace Wood. Any other nominations? All those in favor of appointing Ms. Wood to the Inco Candler Fire and Rescue, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Ms. Wood is appointed. I think that covers all of the nominations, the add-ons. Announcements are, the next regular meeting of this board will be November 18, beginning at 4:30 p.m. in room 326 at 200 College Street in downtown Nashville. Commission meetings can be seen on BC TV Charter Cable Channel 192, ATT Uverse Channel 99, live on Buncombe County TV Channel 192, and on buncombecounty.org during the meetings or any other time. I believe we do not have need for a closed session. Is that correct? And there's no further business, so is there a motion to adjourn? Motion by Commissioner Belcher, second by Vice Chair Frost. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Our meeting is adjourned.